On today's episode of Locked On NHL, 3 years after the World was denied a Fleury versus Binnington tilt, the World finally got the goalie fight they deserved.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. Welcome to Locked On NHL, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Locked On NHL is your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. We are your team each and every day, and we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on all of your favorite audio platforms and follow us on YouTube so you never miss out on a new episode throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we'll break down the Kiefer Sherwood trade from Vancouver to the San Jose Sharks, why this was a smart ad for San Jose, and what this means for their chances to hang on to a wild card spot. We'll also talk about Artemi Panarin after the letter 2.0 from the New York Rangers. Seems likely now that Panarin will not be back. So where could he end up? And a goalie fight. We got a goalie fight. We'll talk about the Bobrovsky and Nedeljkovic bout, who won, and what it means for goalie fights in the future. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. And JD, it's Sharks heavy tonight because you had the goalie fight, but a big trade for the San Jose Sharks as they win the Kiefer Sherwood sweepstakes and add some beef, some heft to that young lineup. Let's start. Let's dive in. What did you think about the trade and the cost that it took to acquire Kiefer Sherwood?
I was a little hesitant when I heard that the Sharks were interested, especially when you look at the Sharks team, right? You have so many young forwards. You have a lot of veteran guys in the forward group, but this team definitely needs defense. But so I was a little hesitant that the Sharks were even interested in Sherwood, who's, shooting at a pretty ridiculous rate this season, right? He has 17 goals in 44 games, played on a really bad Canucks team. But I do think his style of play, right, that aggressive forechecking style really fits into what Mike Grier wants to build with his hockey team. And while Sherwood isn't the biggest guy, he's only 6 foot, 190, but he plays much, much bigger than he actually is. So for San Jose, you have a plethora of picks and prospects and such, and trading 2 second-round picks. Well, you already have a second-round pick from Colorado this year, so you trade yours, which at this rate is looking like it's going to be a mid-second-round pick. And then you trade a 2027 second-round pick, and if the Sharks continue the way that they're going, it's probably going to be a mid to late second-round pick in the 2027 draft. So it'll be, I think for Sherwood will come in, and for San Jose, I think they're going to try to kind of roll out the red carpet for him to make sure that he's comfortable and that they can, potentially sign him to an extension. That's what I do worry about, is what type of extension he will sign. I know Frank Cervalli's put out like 5 by 5.5, which seems like a lot for a guy who's 30. But right now with the cap going up, guys are just getting paid more and more. So the extension does worry about me, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there for the Sharks. But I do think for San Jose, right, a team that has definitely kind of pushed the accelerator down on this rebuild here, especially when you have a kid like Macklin Celebrity doing Macklin Celebrity things. I think you have to kind of start taking some swings here. And they still have plenty of assets where if they do want to go and be aggressive to try to add a first pairing or a top defenseman, right? You still have the Edmonton pick. You still have the best prospect pool in the NHL where you're not prohibited from doing that. So, this team has, I think, earned the right for Mike Grier to add pieces. And then you saw how they responded today with a big win over the Florida Panthers after making this trade. And with Sherwood, unfortunately, like it doesn't look like he'll be able to play until after the Olympic break because I think he's dealing with something with his hand right now. So it might be one of those things where we're kind of waiting for him to get in, but then this could be a early trade deadline piece for San Jose.
Yeah, I like how you put it that this is a move certainly to shore up the depth for the Sharks, but it is not going to be anything that precludes them from doing other moves as they see fit. And the big takeaway here, I think, is that the San Jose Sharks are finally in position to where they are, they're in a playoff spot right now. And I'm telling you, having that young talent, that Macklin Celebrini led roster has paid major dividends, and slowly but surely you see different pieces kind of get shored up, different spots on the roster get shored up. And it's nice to see a team that was out of it for as long as they were get to the point where they're like, hey, let's pull some stuff in. We finally feel like we have enough of a nucleus to be able to pull pieces in to try to turn this into something. Because for as many San Jose Sharks stories as there are, look at what we've seen with the Anaheim Ducks for the last several years. And the Ducks now, they're out of a playoff spot. I know they are finally playing better, but they're out of a playoff spot right now. Chicago is still a ways away. It doesn't always work out that you get back up, but it certainly seems like the Sharks have.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Sharks are third in the Pacific, which if you had told me that they were third in the Pacific, I would have thought it was like the first week of the season or something like that. But yeah, it's just crazy. And from the Canucks point of view, right, I know that they were asking for a first plus. That was kind of the rumor. Apparently, they softened the deal a little bit here, and that's what got the 2 seconds for them. But if you're the Canucks team right now, your job is just to gather as many possible assets as you can. And, second round picks, whether you use them, whether you bundle them up to move back up into the first round, whatever you do, like your job as a organization right now is to gather assets. And Kiefer Sherwood was arguably your best trade chip because of the cost of his contract, right, at $1.5 million and what he provides on the ice. And we know GMs love these type of players. So I think for Vancouver, you did a pretty solid, here getting 2 seconds. And, would you have like a first? Probably. But I think for most teams weren't quite willing to give up that first round pick for a guy like Kiefer Sherwood. So, but yeah, I think for Vancouver, it's solid, and you're clearly tanking and going to be trying to get Gavin McKenna to reboot this franchise right now.
And it is interesting. There have been rumors that Elias Pettersson is on the block too. So
that would be interesting. Man.
Honestly, I think that's probably the right approach because this Canucks team, they've bottomed out. And
this is a tear it. This feels like it should be a tear it down to these studs approach, like the Blackhawks did, like the Sharks did, like the Ducks did. Just tear it down because they've been trying to kind of retool and build around. But as soon as you trade Quinn Hughes, which seems to be working out pretty well for the Minnesota Wild, as soon as you trade him, that's like that's it right there. Like that's the moment where you have to tear this whole thing down.
Yeah, and I mean the trade has single-handedly spurred the Sharks into a goalie fight, which we'll talk about later in the show, and that's the first time that has happened in recent memory. So clearly, the Sharks massive winners in the trade already.
That's yes.
Just one final point here before we move on and talk about another player that's on the block. If you had to diagnose, so the Sharks in the third spot in the Pacific right now, they got a 2-point lead on the Anaheim Ducks. What is the next target for this San Jose Sharks team as far as the trade goes?
Defense. Like I mentioned early, you have so many defensemen who are UFAs, and most of the defensemen are like solid 3, 4, 5 type of players. On most teams, they don't have that true number one style defenseman. It's hard, right? Because those don't grow on trees. Teams aren't just going to give those away. So I think that's the next thing, right? And that's where Mike Grier is going to have to dig into that first round pick from Edmonton, or some of their top prospects, maybe a Quentin Musty, maybe a Philip Beasley type of players to get something like that done. But we've seen Mike Grier be very aggressive with the trades, right? You think about Yaroslav Askarov a couple summers ago with that aggressive trade. We know Grier does like to even moving up in the draft to be able to get a guy like Sam Dickinson, who's really coming along over the last couple of weeks. But I think that's the next thing, is trying to find that puck moving defenseman who can quarterback the power play and really kind of help, set every defenseman in their proper slot right now.
The New York Rangers, as we mentioned, they sent out the letter 2.0 to let the fans know, look, we're not going to rebuild. We're not going to win. So we're just going to do what we're doing right now. Which means that there are several key members of this Rangers team that will not be back.
Yep.
At least in Chris Drury's eyes. We'll take a look at potential fits, including a dark horse in the Western Conference for Artemi Panarin. Who is going to be bringing in the bread man? We'll talk about it as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by Game Time. There is nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere, it is unmatched. Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting tickets. Long queues, endless screens, and prices changing at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It is the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Priority fees are included, so your total up front without getting those surprise fees. And my favorite part about Game Time is the zone deals. You choose your section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off at Game Time. Welcome back to today's edition of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. And if you're looking for a little more from your Locked On experience, Locked On Everydayer Club is for you. You get access to ad-free editions of your favorite Locked On shows, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. Plus an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat for listeners of your favorite shows and hosts hanging out with you in the chat. You can find more information in the show notes for your favorite Locked On NHL shows. So check out the Everydayer Club wherever you listen to your podcasts. We have some breaking news that we'll discuss at the end of the show today in regards to Luke Hughes. So stay tuned for that. In addition to our discussion on goalie fights. But first, we should talk about a player who is likely not going to be on his current team past the trade deadline. That, of course, is Artemi Panarin. Mm-hmm. The bread man has been a staple for the New York Rangers for the last several seasons, but he wants to cash in. He is set to become a free agent, and he wants more bread. He wants the big money that his counterpart Kirill Kaprizov has pulled in, amongst others, which is probably going to price him out of Chris Drury's range. Although something tells me Chris Drury's not going to be around to make that choice. So what are we really doing here? But it is interesting because you look at what Panarin could bring to a contender that can get him on the books. A tremendous knack for goal scoring and playmaking, which if you've seen these Stanley Cup playoffs, when the games get tight, having those guys that know what to do with the puck, kind of important.
Little bit. Yeah. One thing, like before we get into the Panarin, like you do have to kind of keep in mind a couple things, right? Full no move clause, so he gets to choose his destination, right? You do also have some off the ice issues, which I will let you Google. New York Rangers admin, Panarin. Those are some good way to kind of get started on that topic. So whoever does, like, they're going to have to, like, this is going to be Panarin kind of picking his spot here to where he wants to go. So I am curious to see what the Rangers do here. The good thing is, like, for them, I mean, he does have a massive salary at 11 and a half or whatever his contract. So they do, assuming that they eat half his contract because he is in the last year of his deal, that gets it down to just under 6. I think that probably makes it more palatable for teams to get him on their roster, but it's hard. You have to try to find a team that has $6 million or can free up $6 million to potentially acquire him. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. You hear, the Dallases, right? The Floridas, those type of teams, they all make sense because they all are always sniffing around for players like this, and they're trying to make deep runs. And I think after watching Florida tonight, though, you do wonder if they're just running out of gas right now. I know Matthew Tkachuk made his return tonight, but like that is a team that has played a lot of hockey over the last couple of years and is really beat up right now. And maybe they bring in a guy like Panarin to see if they can get kind of turn things here. But at some point, you just kind of run out of gas. But I don't know which teams of those are kind of like you look at potentially.
Well, Vegas. Don't discount Vegas's ability to just do whatever they feel like.
Do whatever, yeah. Just the salary cap just does not work there. I don't know how they did it. How they traded for Rasmus Anderson and they actually freed up contract space. Like it boggles the mind how they actually pulled it off. They freed up cap space by trading Whitecloud for Rasmus Anderson. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
When Kelly McCrimmon was getting his general manager introductory course and they said, now you have a salary cap, which means you can only spend this much amount of money. He's like, no, I don't know anything about that.
No, we're not doing that here. Yeah.
So Vegas will be in the conversation because this is what they do is they just continuously turn the roster over, which is why they're continuously competitive. Yep. Dallas is mentioned.
Man, the worst part is they could just put Carlson on LTIR. Like, I don't think. Well, no, they have Pietrangelo on. Never mind, they can't do the both. I don't think they can do it. Anyway, sorry. It's like they just put Carlson. They just swap out Carlson for and then there you go.
I hate it.
I hate it so much.
Dallas is a team that is mentioned. I mean, certainly the Rantanen route. But they're a team that is dealing with some cap issues themselves. I think they already have players that are on LTIR. So maybe that's a spot. One that you brought up that I think is certainly intriguing is Carolina.
Yeah. They're always swinging for the fences, right? I mean, they brought in Rantanen last year. Of course, it didn't work out for them. They quickly moved on. They have a ton of cap space. They have for a team that is always picking near the end of the draft, they always have good prospects as well. They're very smart when it comes to drafting and developing. This could be a team I think that could, right, especially in this Eastern Conference where there really isn't that one team that you kind of look to, right? In the Western Conference, you have Dallas, you have Colorado, and you have the Wild as well as Vegas. But in the East, it's a little bit more mushy, and even some of the teams at the top, like Detroit and stuff, it feels like Carolina could be a very much all-in type of move for them to try to add a guy like Panarin and help bolster their top six here. So I could really see that. We know the Rangers and Carolina, they already made a deal this off season for, getting for K'Andre Miller. You can see them kind of going right back to that well and trying to get something done there. So you had a really good dark horse though. Look at us just patting each other on the back with our idea.
That's how the show always goes.
Yes.
Think about this. So you've got a young up and coming team that recently rebranded that has a very aggressive owner that has a ton of assets, a ton of cap space. What about the Utah Mammoth? I mean, think about this. You could fit Panarin's entire salary on your books, no problem.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense.
And it feels like they need kind of a take charge forward, like take the lead, be the leader of the group. He could do that for them. And they have their war chest is basically unlimited at this point. I mean, 2026 alone, 3 second-round picks, 2 thirds, 2 fifths.
Yeah. Plus
their
prospect
pool.
Picks. Yeah, they have. Yeah, and their prospect pool. You have guys like Tisha Ginla, who's going to be, who's dominating the WHL right now. You have Simishev, their defenseman, who they drafted a couple of years ago. Like they have whatever the Rangers want. I think this team could. I think this is a team that makes a ton of sense, and especially with Logan Cooley out right now, we don't know when he's going to be back. Getting a player who can kind of help turn this team into a solid playoff caliber team. Right, you're not going to jump into the top 3 in the Central, but to solidify yourself as that wild card team, I think makes a lot of sense, and that gives you. Right, if you're having to go against, assuming your wild card 1, you have to play against Vegas. At least gives you a shot to try to take down Vegas. Who, it makes a ton of sense. I think that one's kind of my favorite one. So,
and it would give Chris Drury more picks to use to acquire veteran players to continue to try to supplement this aging core.
Can they bring back Barclay Goodrow? Everything fell apart when they got rid of Barclay Goodrow.
They're like, hey, Chris, our deadline haul got us 3 first-round picks, a couple of seconds. Great work trading all those players. Next day, hey, Chris, did you trade all the draft picks?
Yes. We got Marcus Foligno, guys. Did you see?
No, we got Evander Kane for a first. We got Corey Perry, and we brought the beef back.
I think the big question though is Panarin. Does Panarin want to go to Utah? I think that's going to be the big question. Does he waive his to go to Utah? That's the fly in the ointment on that one. But it would make a lot of sense though.
Now, Elias Pettersson, that would still be a Utah target.
I can see that too.
They're going to make a big move. They're going to make a big one.
I can see Utah, being really active at the deadline.
Maybe they'll bring in a goalie fight.
Ooh, both goalies make them.
Can you acquire a goalie fight? I don't know if you can acquire a goalie fight, but we're certainly going to talk about.
Yes, you can. All you got to do is just trade for Tony DeAngelo, and you have a goalie fight on your hands. That's how you acquire a goalie fight.
Ding. Let's talk about the goalie fight that is sweeping the nation as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Final segment of today's Locked On NHL, and once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day, and Locked On your number 1 sports podcast network. Goalie fight happened in the game between the Florida Panthers and the San Jose Sharks. Sergei Bobrovsky versus Alex Nedeljkovic. You had a front row seat to this. So give us a little play-by-play of the fracas, of the scrum, of the Donnybrook. Give us a little recap of the goalie fight.
All right, so Vincent Desharnais, who made his return, big 6'7" defenseman. He tripping penalty, right? Play is dead. Sorry, he's getting ready to get called for a tripping penalty. So he's got to, he's facing the boards and stuff. And Evan Rodriguez comes in like way after the whistle and hits Vinny Desharnais into the boards. Which as we all know, the Panthers like to kind of play to the edge, pick at you. Desharnais and Nedeljkovic are actually really close. So when Nedeljkovic saw this, he jumped in for his buddy and his teammate, Vinny Desharnais, and he started kind of getting into it with Evan Rodriguez. Sergei Bobrovsky saw it and came hauling down towards Ned there. And Ned, he's kind of in the scrum, and then he looks over and he sees Bobrovsky coming, and then he sees like shaking his head like, we're doing this. And then they go at it. And I'm very biased here. I think Nedeljkovic won the fight. Much goalie fight. And then after that, I was like, oh, the Sharks aren't losing this game, right? If they get through this PK that happened after that, because you had to try to figure out all the penalties after that, the Sharks aren't losing this game. And Nedeljkovic was not only he wins the goalie fight, 35 saves on 36 shots, was absolutely outstanding against the Panthers. And great moment. First goalie fight since 2020. I think pre-COVID was last time we had a goalie fight. The first Sharks goalie fight since I think it's in 27 years, 1999 was the last time the Sharks had a goalie fight. It's I know the rule about crossing the red line and stuff, but it feels like we should have it more often. I mean, we of course were denied what would have been an all-timer between Binnington and Fleury. And I know this didn't lead up to that, but it's such a an experience. It's so great.
My thoughts with the replay playing on my second monitor, second of three. Oh, good for me. Mm-hmm. Number one, Sergei Bobrovsky gets dinged for losing his balance, flying into the play. He clearly tried to knock Nedeljkovic
Superman
down.
punch him. Coming in. Yeah.
He clearly tried to knock him down by surprise and failed miserably. So he gets points knocked off there. The fact that Bobrovsky's fighting style looks like the thing that the cats do when they're stretching out with their paws, minus points there. Those are both major dings as far as the fight goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think Nedeljkovic has an unfair advantage with Ryan Reeves on his team. You probably saw Revo teaching some of the other kids, how to stick up for yourselves. He probably picked up a couple pointers from that, but yeah.
And my favorite part of the fight is after Bobrovsky, which, by the way, both goalies get bonus points for the manners in which they pulled the opposing goalie's helmet off.
Yeah.
The fact that Bobrovsky just single hand just rips it off of his head, but then you see Nedeljkovic pawing for, okay, I got to get the back and just rip it off. That was my favorite part of the fight.
Great.
My favorite see the point where he's grabbing for it. He's
the bench reactions from both teams. Celebrini just has this eating grin on his face as this whole thing is going down. Because the Sharks bench is mostly just 19 and 20-year-old kids on there, right? So just all of them enjoying this going on. Just wonderful experience. We need one a year. How we get it feels we get more goalie goals than we did goalie fights. We just one a year, one a year to hold us over. I was really hoping Nedeljkovic was going to get an empty netter just to really, what a night that would have been.
Did he have an assist earlier in the game? He could have had the Gordie Howe.
I know. Could you imagine he has the career Gordie Howe now with the goalie fight. He has a goalie goal and he has a goalie. So he's one of 6 or 7 goalies who have a career Gordie Howe. So
would they call it the goalie howl?
The goalie howl. That's good. Yes.
See what I did there.
Yes.
If former Minnesota Wild forward Brandon Duhaime would have been on either side, he would have just been barking like a dog from the bench. I can count on two hands the number of times where there was a fight going on and he's just barking on the bench.
That's amazing.
It's a little psychotic, but
we were watching it and like my whole family just stopped what they were doing and like were entranced by this. Like, I mean, I have a friend who's like not even a hockey fan text me with like a video, like what is happening here? Like, yes, just great moment.
It stole headlines from the national championship game.
I know. The national Indiana goalie fight. So we do have to mention Luke Hughes before we get out of here. So sounds like Luke Hughes is going to be out for a while with a shoulder separation here. Not good for a Devils team that really can't get back on track. Unfortunately, you do wonder if maybe this puts a damper on the potential Dougie Hamilton trade, as this team now needs Dougie Hamilton because they cannot keep a fully healthy defensive group at this point. So interesting there that with Luke Hughes potentially getting knocked out, but this Devils team, man, from bad to worst for them this season.
And this Devils team, I don't know that they're at the point where the Canucks are, like full teardown, but controlled sell-off was going to be vital for this team this year. And now having to keep Dougie Hamilton potentially through the, depending on...
Well, I guess if you're selling all off because this team is not where it needs to be, and you still need to clear cap space to do anything because this team just has no cap space. I still think maybe a Dougie Hamilton, because you do have Seamus Casey, who you probably want to get a look at here at some point as a high second round pick, if I remember correctly. Like you could potentially bring him up, but you do wonder how, and that's another GM who's got to be really feeling it here with this roster and Tom Fitzgerald. So I'm just the team to keep an eye on here. Maybe they just like, this is that straw that breaks the camel's back and they're just like, screw it, we're done. This is not our year. Let's just start trading pieces. That's a potential team there. I think where it could get really ugly really fast. So.
Knowing Tom Fitzgerald like I do, I don't. They're going to do exactly what the Rangers have done and just be like,
yep,
we don't really know what to do, but we're not going to rebuild because that is a forbidden word in NHL circles. And we're not going to go for it. So we're just going to
creamy middle, nothing worse than the creamy middle.
We're just going to rest. We're just going to rest. We're going to stop the journey for now, just rest. And then we'll get back to walking the wrong path later.
Could help a ton.
Cam Fowler.
Always.
Got it. Waited till the last minute, but we got it in. That will do it for today's episode of Locked On NHL. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On NHL so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. You can find your favorite Locked On shows, Everydayer Club, by checking the show notes, plus members-only Discord access and more. Again, link in the show notes of your favorite Locked On shows for your Everydayer access. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL.